Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 184, The Year in Review. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host, and I'm here today in 818 Studios with my producer.
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Croft. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 184 of the Authentic Spiritual Journey. As always, I want to wish you a happy Monday. Welcome to the last full week of 2021. Very challenging year, but I'm glad we're here, and I am really excited. I really honestly can't stop smiling. I'm so happy to have everybody joining us for today's episode.
Yes, thank you, Dave. And today is a super special day because we have all the hosts from the Experience of the Soul podcast channel, and they're all just amazing, amazing souls. And they mean so much to me personally and now professionally to be able to work with these souls and to have us all be supporting your journey. And when I say your journey, please know you're one of thousands and thousands who are now experiencing our channel worldwide. We are in over 80 countries. Probably by this airing, which is December 27th, we'll be at right about 200,000 downloads in over 80 countries. So, friends, we have you to thank for that. We have these great hosts to thank for that. And we thought, how fun would it be to have all of us together? And some of them just met 2 minutes ago. But how fun would it be to have us all together? Because they're special souls. They have something to bring. So I want to introduce each one to you, just so you know who's here. Or maybe I should have Dave do that in his announcer voice. Dave, you want to do that?
Yeah, you know what?
I'm going to pass it to you.
I am happy to do that. Well, I want to start with the host of Real Grief, Real Healing, Mindy Corcoran, who has been with us for quite a while. She was, if memory serves me, was the first non RCA host to come on board. And I have really enjoyed getting to know her story, being a part of her broader message out into the world. And so, Mindy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on and be able to meet everybody and engage with this year-end special podcast. I think that's awesome that you all wanted to do this and you invited all of us to be on.
Yeah, it's so weird. I was mentioning before we started rolling how I've spent so much time with each of these hosts, but in different capacities. As a co-host with you, RCA, but with Mindy, I'm just kind of in the background, and so with Monique and Dr. Donna, having everybody all together really warms my heart. And so you alternate Saturdays in our programming with Monique McDonald, who is the host of The Magnetic Voice. Monique, how are you today, my lovely dear?
I am fantastic. It's a beautiful sunny day here in New York City, one of those amazing fall days. And what a great day to meet my colleagues, to have these lovely discussions, and to share our souls. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. And if we're lucky, we won't hear any sounds of New York. But you know what? I think that's endearing. I think it's endearing.
Yeah, I heard one show.
Like we have Mindy who is in her closet, literally. And then
not today, though.
Not today.
She's in Belize.
Yeah, she's in Belize today. But Monique is downtown, downtown New York as it gets. And so you hear, it's just how it is. It's authentic, right? So this whole channel is authentic. And then finally, rounding up, we have Dr. Donna Bevinley, whose show goes deep. It's thought-provoking. She is eternally funny and is the sage upon which I have personally benefited. She walked me through getting my wisdom teeth pulled, which sounds weird, but I spend a little bit of time with each of these hosts before every episode. And just like with Mindy and with Monique, Dr. Donna has just poured herself I'm going to get emotional here if I don't watch it. She's poured herself and just openly, I don't know. It's like a little counseling session before the episode. I'm like, where do I send the check? But she's walked me through some of my own like dental trauma, and has been has become very important to me. And so I want to introduce Dr. Donna Bevinley.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. And I was really happy to hear that you've gotten your wisdom teeth out.
Yes,
you're doing the adult thing. Way to go.
Not my child mind anymore. Baby Dave ain't driving the bus anymore.
I know. Donna would say, get your adult on board, Dave. Come on, get a hold of that adult.
That's quite literally what she said.
I'm aware. I'm aware of what she might say.
Absolutely. But each one of these amazing women, including you, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson, have been such an important part to me, my life, my family. And, Mindy, I would be remiss if I didn't mention how you walked me through the grieving process of losing Shannon's father last year. And just like with Dr. Donna, we would talk about it. And you just, you opened yourself up to that, and you poured into me, and you didn't have to. I'm just the producer, I'm just like the fader monkey over here, just making everybody sound good. But you really poured yourself into me. So I appreciate that. And Monique, just your friendship with Shannon and your friendship with us. And so when I say, and I hope it's coming across, when I say that I love each one of you women and how important you are to me, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So thank you. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for being on the channel.
Thank you, Dave.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Of course, we're all happy to do it. You give to us as well. And we're all on this journey together. And so often on the show, some of the feedback I get is, how did you know I was going through that? Or questions like that. And it's like, well, I know because I'm human and we're all human. And so we all have these, same struggles. What we try to do as our hosts is have our lives, be a model of what we're teaching, so that, we're practicing and learning on ourselves and, in our own journeys. And of course, we hope to bring our learning forward, so that sometimes you get to skip some of the steps we've gone through because we've learned it the hard way. And so we want to help you along the journey. And the show, Authentic Spiritual Journey, is a little bit of our flagship show on the channel. We started with this show. I used to have a co-host. The show's gone through some changes and maturing over the years, and it's been able to deepen because we have received great feedback. And again, having other hosts coming on today is about us sharing our own personal journey. And I want you to know that, when you see our name and our titles, all of these individuals have books. I myself, have written 4 books. But we are people on the journey that are happy to share our learning so that you can grow as well. And what I love about all the hosts that are on the channel in general, and even Dave, we are daily, momently, working our programs. For some of us, it's recovery. For some of us, it's therapeutic. For some of us, it's spiritual and therapeutic and recovery. And all those are interrelated, because life is not just, my spiritual life's over here and my recovery's over here. I believe in a integrated approach of, we are body, mind, and soul. And so each of the hosts is going to share a little bit today. And I invited them because I thought, we've all had big journeys, and it's like, what has our year been like? Like, we're wrapping up the year. It's December 27th. And I think it's super healthy to look back over the year so we can see what were those stretches, but also, what did we learn? And so we can think about, what was my year in review? What are those lessons? And so, if anybody's feeling led, I want to just invite our host. I want to open up anything that you're really thinking about your year in review you'd want to share with our listeners today.
We're going to have to call on someone.
Well, I can start.
Yeah.
So I just now, like 2 weeks ago, turned 71. And so this year, I would say everything that has occurred in my mind and in my life has been about kind of coming to grips with the fact that I really am elderly. I mean, even when I'm acting my age, okay, I sound like an old lady. So, but it has been really challenging in some ways. For instance, one of the things that happened was that, since I've been semi-retired, and, it's a big semi there, I wanted to hike every day. And so I hike whenever usually 5 days a week, because even after I get finished working and after today, I'll go on my hike. And I get this big ball thing on the top of one of my feet. And so I go to the doctor and I say, what's wrong with this? This could be a problem for me with my hiking. And she does all this, MRIs and everything. She says, well, what's wrong with that foot is it's broken and you've been walking on it. And so you need to have it fixed. So I had to have surgery on my foot, get it fixed, get it all. So I was sitting down for, 8 weeks, which was really hard for me to do. I'm a little hyper that way. But it also reminded me that I guess I've been walking on this broken foot for quite some time, but it didn't create problems until now. And when I say that being 70, it means coming to grips with the fact that we don't really get, quote, better. Like if you get a broken foot, you get it hopefully well enough so that you can continue to walk. But because, they're old bones, it doesn't quite do the thing, although I do what I've told all my patients all my life to do, and that is self-care is job one. So if you don't do self-care, you're just sunk. And so if you've got to get something taken care of, like teeth, like feet, like bones, do it. Because you're no good to anybody if you can't show up fully. Like you said, Alice, like mind, body, soul.
That's right.
And then people start dying when you're 70. People that you've known all your life. My cousin just died. And she's 70 also. She and I kind of grew up together, exploring life together. And we went our different ways, but when we'd see each other again, it would be like old home week. And she just died, and I feel really sad about that. But I also know that this is what happens as you age. So, even I have a grandchild now, and he's a light of my life, and so's my son, and my daughter-in-law too. But, it's I read that. But he's a smart thing to do. He's absolutely adorable. And so I'm getting to know him. And here's the thing I never knew about myself, right? It's like when I watch people who got on the floor and played with little children, I thought, that just doesn't seem right. Well, let me tell you. I'm on the floor with this kid whenever I see him. I'm on the floor with him, and we are playing like crazy, and I love it. And so I've found that out. Now, you mentioned my book. Yes, my book is out there. It's called Iron Legacy, Childhood Trauma and Adult Transformation. And you can get it online. I hope to be able to do an audio of that book soon, but what I'm really looking forward to now is returning to my writing roots, which wasn't really writing a book like that. It's poetry. I've written poetry since I was a young girl, like probably 14. And I have lots of it. And I think that's where I'm going to go this year. I'm going to write poetry and hike. And continue
Awesome.
To work as long as people need me.
Maybe both at the same time. Maybe go hiking and write poetry.
I can do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can do not while I'm walking because I'm 71. All right. Not good. When you're walking and you're 71, watch where you're going.
We'll give you a voice recorder or something, and you can hear you panting along. Roses are red.
Roses are red.
Violets. Anyway.
Yeah, that is awesome. Those are a lot of great lessons, Donna. And it is amazing, right? The growth that children and grandchildren bring into our lives, and it really helps our inner child be able to play. And I think it's so healing to be able to do that. That is awesome. I can just imagine the gift that is. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. So, Monique, what about for you? What's this year been like for you and your journey?
Well, this year has been a really interesting year. I was talking about how in New York especially, we went through this kind of surge of excitement once the vaccine became available to everyone. And New Yorkers were it was really like one of those movies, those end of the world movies where Times Square, nothing was going on. And so it was really kind of a scary place to be. And then all of a sudden, everybody got all excited and there's traffic and, we had nobody was on the streets. So
right.
It's been a very interesting time feeling the city come alive again.
Ah, yes.
And I feel like for myself, there's been a bit of that as well, where I'm growing in ways that I wasn't expecting, and things are opening up for me. Opportunities are coming, and at the same time, I've had a lot of loss this year. I've had a lot of loved ones and parents of loved ones pass away. And it, of course, brings up all of my loss. And there's a feeling of when I know that the universe gives us these moments so that we can really choose life, I believe. And I feel like that's what I was feeling in the city, where people were just choosing life and living life out loud. And I feel like that's what this last year has been for me. I've spent a lot of time in grief. So Mindy, I know you know all about that. Everybody, I guess, here does. And so it was my commitment this year to stay off of social media, to stay off of the news, because I wanted to be the light for my clients. And I felt very strongly that if I wasn't able to keep prayed up, to keep all of, because life is happening, but you still have to, but then to go on the news and see it, inundating your life and your spirit or social media or whatever. I made the choice not to do that this year. And some really magical things happened because I decided that I was going to stay in the light, one of which was launching this book, which I didn't know it was happening. It's so funny. I signed up to work with this business coach because, as you all know, every coach needs a coach. And this was a lovely, bonus that I didn't even realize was happening until I was told my chapter is due in, a week. And I said, wait, what?
Well, okay. Monique, though, can you back up and say when, though, you did want to write a book at one time?
Exactly. Oh, thank you for that. So I did. I had it on my list of goals. I was doing Dream Big with Cynthia Alice, and I did my meditation, and out of my pen came, with no urging from me, write a bestseller. And that was in March of this year. Are you kidding me? And of course I was like, that's strange. Ha ha ha. And just went along my merry way. And, I would do what I was told to do by my darling Cynthia Alice, was just, speak the goal out loud, be with the goal, imagine it's happening. And I have to tell you, it wasn't until launch day, which was November 3rd, that I remembered, isn't that funny? That I had written that down. And indeed, the book is now a bestseller. I'm shocked. It's only a week later. I don't know how that happened, but somebody's in charge. And we all know this. And I feel like it's important for us to remember that even when our outside world feels like it's falling apart, that when we continue to reach in and work within our guidance, our divine guidance, listening to our divine voice and following it no matter what, it gives us the opportunity to find new avenues that we probably never would have taken, A. And B, like what you said earlier, Cynthia Alice, we are leaders. We are helping others to their magnificence, each in our own way. And we've got to walk the talk. And sometimes it's really scary. Sometimes it makes no sense, but we just have to keep walking. So that's what's been up for me this year.
Beautiful. So happy to hear all that and very happy for your success on the book. Very happy to write a review as well.
Oh,
and yeah.
Thank you for that.
That was a lot of fun.
I suppose I should mention the name of it.
Go for it. Yes. Donna mentioned hers.
It's called The Game Changer, Inspirational Stories That Changed Lives. And I was a contributing author. So I was part of 20 other authors writing about moments in their lives that changed the direction, the trajectory of their lives. So that was really cool to share this experience with others.
Yes. And that story in there was moving most definitely. And of course, since I knew the person you were talking about, it had an even more special tone for me personally. But yeah, nice to hear all that. And it was a big year. And I think both you and Donna have mentioned about a loss, and it's so important that we really be in that and that we talk about that. And it was a big year for that for me too. I just passed the year anniversary of my mom's passing, and it's hard to believe it's been a year. And it's another reason why we've had Mindy on the channel. Now, having said that, I want to introduce Mindy, but she is, and we'll talk about second half a little bit more about what Mindy's going to be doing. But it's one of the reasons I was so happy to have Mindy Corcoran on the channel, because of her topic, real grief, real healing. And because culturally, there's not a lot of ways we have anymore to grieve. And I know Mindy's show and her work has been important. So I'm totally blessing her going off and doing her own thing. It'll be more searchable and under her own brand and things like that. But we've been happy to support Mindy's journey. So Mindy, thank you again for being with us today. Yeah. So share with us a little bit about what this year's been like for you as you look back.
Thank you. Well, I'm blessed to just be on this call with all of you and hear a little bit more about each of the hosts that you've gathered together. This year, I was thinking about our call this morning. I was considering, the conversation that you wanted us to have. And I said to my husband, I said, we're still in 2021, and I authored a book and I recorded the book and I authored a software. So we're just finishing up software for workplace healing. It's a for-profit company. And I didn't build it. I'm not the technical person, but I wrote it out, what it should be like and what I wanted it to do. And I have a business partner, Lisa Cooper. And when she looked at what we called the wireframe, she said, I had no idea that you could create that. I said, I didn't either. I said, so maybe it was helpful that I had written Healing a Shattered Soul and had done the steps of really considering how to speak to an audience and And then in July, we hired a software developer again for workplace healing. So when I look at why I'm so tired on the evenings, I can see now why I'm so tired. I do still have energy, but I am getting tired, and I have to really think about how do I want to focus my energy, because I've had a lot. I've poured a lot out. I've poured a lot out. And so, Monique, I love that you say, we need to walk the talk and grieve things as they pass, grieve events as they come and as they go. And so I try to be very considerate about that. Instead of just writing my to-do list and jumping into my to-do list, I try to consider, where do I want to spend my time? So, Reverend Cynthia Alice, you mentioned that I am departing your channel. I'm actually not going to continue my podcast of Real Grief, Real Healing at all for the foreseeable future. I'm going to take my podcasts and put them in a YouTube account and make them available. But I want that energy back. I realize that the time that I'm spending on that, which I've so enjoyed, and I've learned so much from my my guests on how they've journeyed themselves through grief. I've learned a significant amount from them, but that is taking a big piece of me. And I've just looked at it and I thought, you know what? I'm ready to redirect that energy. I want to redirect that energy specifically to workplace healing, which is taking healing into the workplace. And so that's what the software will do. And it'll be in the hands of companies in as early as January.
That's awesome. And I think that's so important too for our listeners to hear, because that's why it's a journey. It changes. Sometimes we need times of rest. Sometimes we need times of real intense work, and it changes as our vision for our lives matures and grows. And so I really support that. And I think what's going to be so amazing, and I was talking to a consultant recently about the podcast and about the channel in general. And he said the amount of information that you have put out in 3 years, because, we just passed the 3-year mark for the channel. And at one point I was doing about 3 or 4 days a week myself. And he said the numbers, he said your goal of reaching 1 million listeners is going to happen because of the sheer content. And so what's already out there, people are going to listen, they're going to share. And so, Mindy, the work you've already done, I just want to say, I think getting it on YouTube is a great idea. That's where I put all my shows as well. It's going to be there probably in perpetuity, right? So forever, as long as we have digital, which is a little scary, but as long as we have digital, people will be able to see it. And so that learning that was so tremendous for you and some of the great guests you had, there's going to be a lot of future healing as well. So that's the other thing that's going to be so nice about the, about the work you've already done.
Yeah. And I wanted to say how I felt like, obviously, I'm going to be sad to not spend my, every few weeks hanging out with Mindy and recording, although I'm so honored to have been part of the audiobook process and all of that. But I also feel like it's a natural, like you've told your story. Especially having gone through your entire book, and I mentioned this while we were talking, kind of putting all the faces to the names in your book, and I feel like it's just as the seasons change, I feel like this is just it feels natural that this is kind of coming to a close right now, and I'm really excited. And I know we're about to take a break and talk about what's next, but I'm really excited for what comes next for you and Monique and Dr. Donna.
Yes, so we'll be back in just a few moments right after these brief messages, and we're going to bring back Monique McDonald, Mindy Corcoran, and Dr. Donna Bevinley right after this. Hello, my name is Cynthia Alice Anderson, and I'm the owner and founder of the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Thank you for joining me today. I am also the senior minister at Unity North Tampa, and in January, both my worlds are coming together in a powerful way. I'm going to be doing a Sunday morning series and Monday evening class on my book, Prosperity for You. Friends, I love to help people start the year off right by setting good sacred intentions and remembering what a powerful co-creator they are. we are going to be studying my book, this 4-week intensive series, to remind ourselves that as we change our thoughts, we change our world, and that in fact, we have the power to bring more good, more money, more love, more peace even into our lives and in the world. Prosperity for You begins on Monday, January 10th. And to register for that course, please go to my website, CynthiaAliceAnderson.com. Click on the Classes and Retreats tab, and you will be able to go and book that class where it says Book Now. As you book now, you'll receive all the information you need to join us on Monday, January 10th at 7 p.m. I also hope to see you, or would love to have you watch online at Unity North Tampa on Sunday morning, January 9th at 11 a.m. I'm so thrilled to be bringing you this course, dear friend, and am happy to have you join us online or in person. The course on January 10th is online only. Go to CynthiaAliceAnderson.com for more information and to register for Prosperity for You, and I will see you in person at Unity North Tampa on Sunday, January 9th. Thank you so much for being with me today, dear friend, and blessings on the journey. Welcome back. So happy to have you with us on the journey today, friends. And I know the year is ending. I hope as you're listening to the various hosts sharing their journey that you're connecting with this. And I know you are, because I know the kind of listener we have. And our listeners tend to be, spiritual, a little less religious, but more spiritual in their approach to life. Also trying to live, a life that is impacting the world for the better. That we try to take care of our bodies, and we're trying to learn new things, and also, thinking too about what's new for me. And, anybody that has known me for long knows I really enjoy working with people on the journey and helping them envision what is possible. And also realizing, even though we're certainly impacted by our histories, what I have really sought to do over the years is seek to live beyond my story. We all have a story. We all have things that have happened, and those have impacted me a great deal. But what I've learned is that I can live beyond that story and into a whole new way of being in the world. And I love that. I love looking forward while also honoring the past, So as we look forward, I wanted to hear from the host, but I wanted to share first and foremost that I haven't really shared this on the podcast, but I'm actually working on a new book that's not spiritual at all. So I've written all these spiritual books, and they're usually I write them for a church or a class, and then another church hears about it. And so then I start selling the books. I'm self-published, so I'm not a bestseller, but I sell hundreds and thousands of books because I speak and I sell out, and then I go ahead and order 40 or 50 more. And so that's just kind of how I've done it. I haven't really, tried to get a publisher or anything, especially, so anyway, but a part of my looking forward this year, and I already have the book title and the chapter titles, and so I'm starting to fill in now the stories. And it came from my son and a friend reflecting a couple of stories I had told, and they were saying, you really need to write those down. And it's just fun for me because it's just sharing these weird stories from my life, and it's fun to write those down, and it brings me a lot of joy, and I love it because it's not for anything other than me. It's like I don't know if anybody's ever going to read it. I don't really care. It's all good, and it's just been fun to come up with the titles. Of the various chapters. And I'm like, I really have had a real interesting life, So it's helped me with my own life review as well to see, oh gosh, how did I get to how I am? Well, there was a lot that happened. And so it's been very healing for me to, and also, I should say, it's been very healing for me. I'll finish that sentence, to look back and see the various ways it's impacted me. And some things were super positive impacts that I had missed before. I grew up in an abusive environment. And when that's the case, it's easy to lump everything in there as bad. But the truth is, there was love, there was a lot of healing, there was a lot of growth, and there was some support, and there was some crazy too. And now that makes for a great story. And it's really been very, very healing for me. So my looking ahead this year is about doing some more of that writing. And I also just took another church, which was very unexpected. I'm now the senior minister at Unity North Tampa. And in addition to my online teaching. So I've learned to do life a little differently. I'm doing a hybrid, and I am so excited about the work I'm doing with this ministry. So looking forward, I want to hear from all of you. And Donna, if you don't mind, since you started out first, I want to hear from you a little bit about what is your year going to be like, personally or professionally, whatever you'd like to share with us.
Well, I mentioned before that I plan to write more poetry. It comes to me easily.
Yes.
And it always has. When I was in junior high and high school, which was a long time ago, I loved English. I loved studying the language. And, even when I was in church, which was frequently, I would
often,
how you used to diagram sentences. I don't know if you guys did that in English, but we diagrammed sentences. And the way I'd get through church without being wrapped alongside the head, because I couldn't sit still, was I'd diagram the sentences in the hymn books. That's what I did, right? And so I diagrammed the whole hymn book. And, and I loved writing, and I would write poetry about what was going on in my life. Because at that point I thought, well, this is just life. This is everyone's life, right? You're a kid. So I went on to college for English, and through a series of events, I ended up going into psychology and doing what I ended up doing with my professional life. So I wanted to be a writer. I always wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write fiction. I didn't write fiction. My book is not fiction. It's pretty dense. No. I know that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of research.
It's intense. Yeah.
Okay. So, that's what we do. But, so it's easy like I said, it's easy for me to write poetry. I've always done it. And now that I'm not working so much, trying to help other people deal with their traumas, I'm going to do that. I also plan, I'm trying to figure out how I could do the Pacific Crest Trail. Because last year, I did the John Muir. And I love it. I love being in nature. That's the closest I get to feeling whole in the world, is being outside. And that was true when I was young, too. Yes. We always lived away. My father was a rancher. And so I'd take my siblings out, and we'd wander the hills all day and come back for, as long as we got back before dark, we were good. And, being out there, walking around in the mountains, in the hills, is where I feel so connected. And that's important to me. It's always been important to me. I've always done it. I want to do it more. And I will, as long as my feet, my legs, my joints, all that hold up. And hopefully by the time they break down, somebody will figure out how people like me can continue to do that. But I'll be good doing that. And then I'm just trying to, it's really hard. I always say at my age, but really at my age, people tend to, other people in the world who aren't old tend to not see you. It's, I was very visible. True. And then I kind of became invisible just because I got old. And it doesn't help that I'm female, and it doesn't help that I'm 5 feet tall. And, my biggest part is my soul and my voice. When I start to speak, people listen. Before that, I'm invisible. I'm not invisible to myself, but it's a very odd thing. And I don't know quite what to do with that, considering what I do for a living and also what I plan to do. So I guess it's just, moving forward and taking those steps and like being on a big hike, right? It's like, I don't know what's around that mountain bend, or I don't know what's up over that big high mountain, but I know that my feet will get there. And I'll just keep going. Yes. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I love it. It reminds me, Donna, of an affirmation I use often, which is, I know what is mine to do, when, and how to do it. Even if I don't consciously know, when it shows up, somehow we know, And certainly with your wisdom, I know this is going to be a great year for you. And I know you're also going to have fun watching that grandbaby grow too. So awesome. Sounds like a great year. Monique, you want to share a little bit about what's next for you, looking forward in your world?
Sure. Well, I have been looking at this. 'Tis the season, right? To kind of take a step back and look. And what I know about myself is you were speaking about stories and transcending our stories. Having been an only child all of my life and losing both of my parents, I have been living in this story of isolation and being all alone. I've got to do it all myself. I can't ask for help because that makes me look weak and blah-bitty, 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 blah. So I think that I realized that this 2021 was the last vestiges of that story. And I'm just going to go ahead and claim 2022 as not only am I partnered by the entire universe, but that I'm really going to step up and start asking for help. Like, that's okay. Yeah. Asking people to partner me to realize that I can transcend my story. And I want to talk a little bit about this because I think we all here are agents of change in helping our clients and the people that we work with to transform. And I think that there is a grief that happens when we change that sometimes doesn't get honored, of the letting go of who we were in order to become who we're becoming. And I want to really honor that, and I want to help myself, partner myself also. That's the other piece of it. And I think that I have fallen in love with writing. I've fallen in love in a new way with my content and what the magnetic voice means, and how speaking in your truth and speaking from your passion and power liberates and aligns us in a way that many other things don't give us that opportunity to experience ourselves in that specific way. So I've found another voice as a writer. So I think I'm going to be writing more. I have been using my voice in many, many different ways, but I have not been singing. Last year was a year of silence for Monique as the singer. And that, I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but that is the other thing I'm claiming for 2022. That I will continue to find new ways to use my voice and to help others use their voice. And that singing is who I am and always will be. So even if it's right here in my New York apartment, I'm going to be singing more.
Awesome. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, about your journey this year, about the not singing, but that's so true. And that is such a powerful gift you bring. I mean, there's, there are a lot of singers, Monique, but your gift is transcendent. I mean, it's something otherworldly happens, when you sing, and that in and of itself really is a blessing to people. So I'm so happy to hear that. And I love the idea of you singing in your New York apartment too. The neighbors are going to be like, they're going to start paying ticket prices for you. They're slide money under the door, when they hear you sing. That's awesome. Awesome. I love that. Mindy, what are you thinking about moving forward in 2022? What's this year going to be like for you?
Thank you. Well, I am so pleased that I'm just going to step back for just about 30 seconds, that I published Healing a Shattered Soul, and that Dave and I worked for hours and hours and hours to record the audiobook. And I just wanted to mention that the final minutes we finished, and he came around and he looked at me and he said, "Okay, you're finished. How do you feel?" And I said, "Fearful that I need to say something else, or that I didn't say something right, or that." And he said, no, it's all up to me now. And so, it was good to just be able to give that to somebody else, and to speak to what Monique said about asking for help. I ask for help all the time. I'm always asking for help. And I didn't do that probably until Dad and Reet were murdered in 2014. And I literally had to ask for help. My whole body was just obliterated, heart, soul, physicality, everything. I didn't eat. And so I had to ask for help. And so along the way, I have become less fearful of asking for help. So then going forward, okay, so I'm going to transition. So going forward, your question is, so I'm going to focus on, like I said, workplace healing. It's a regular business. It's a for-profit company, or we're hoping it's for profit. It's a company. It's
hold the vision,
it should be a for-profit company. That's the expectation. And what we realized, what Lisa Cooper and I are building, is something called the Human Recovery Plan. It's a tool that is missing from our lives, and it's missing from our workplace for sure. Our workplace culture doesn't heal humans, sure. And so we've created a software tool called the Human Recovery Plan. And so our focus in 2022 is to get clients and to, be in working relationship with paying customers, and to broaden that. So right now, the Human Recovery Plan specifically focuses on how to help a colleague or a team member through a death event, a grief event that was specific to death, because that's what I could speak to initially. And then as it works, as we find out that it's working and that the companies are appreciating the value of what it offers, we will expand to caregiving and to divorce. We've learned that those two activities, unfortunately, caregiving and divorce, are what keeps people away from work and causes them to have so much chaos at home, that they need this recovery time in the workplace. And that's what the Human Recovery Plan tool will be doing. So that is where specific amount of my focus. And then my 501c3, we have new board members. We are moving into our 8th year. It'll be 8 years in April of 2022. And we're going to have a really great fundraiser in the Kansas City area. So that's where my focus is for 2022. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, of course, I'm a supporter of yours, and whether you're going to be on the podcast channel or not, I'm a friend you can call on, all of you, to support in your endeavors. I love supporting souls, and what I know is that anything I ever give out always comes back tenfold. And, and I know each of you has been a real gift to the channel in the last year. And as we're ending, I can't believe this is the last show of of 2021. But I want to thank all of our financial supporters because, again, we've been on the air for 3 years. They're offered a variety of shows, and I'm going to offer another new show next year. We'll talk more about it in early January. But there's going to be a lot of great things coming on the channel. And so I thank you for all your gifts. This is an actual online ministry, and it is, I have partnered, with a not-for-profit. So if you go on to the website and donate, there you will get a tax-deductible donation, and you get an immediate email as a thank you for your donation that you can use on your taxes. So somebody asked, how do I do it? I said, I made it so easy. You go to CynthiaAliceAnderson.com and just hit donate, and it walks you right through. If you're the type that'd rather write a check or whatever, just send me an email. I'll be happy to help you with that. And I thank you so much in advance for all your support of the show. And it blesses me to know that you are being spiritually fed by it, and happy that now we can offer a tax-deductible donation for all the financial support that's coming our way. So we thank you. We bless you on the journey, dear friend. And Dave's got a couple of words he wants to say.
I just wanted to say we're going to have links to Iron Legacy, which is Dr. Donna's book, The Game Changer, which is with Monique, and then Healing a Shattered Soul. We'll have links to those in our show notes, as well as links to their resources, their websites, YouTube pages. So if you want to follow them beyond the channel, it will all be there. But I want to thank you amazing women, just for a fantastic year. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for making my job a real joy. And I'm looking forward to whatever the universe has next for the channel, for me, and for all of you. Thank you so much.
And of course, we have to say thank you to Dave, right? Because we'd sound terrible without Dave.
We would sound terrible without Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, we love you, Dave, man.
You make me blush.
All right, friends. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have a safe and happy new year and blessings for the best year, 2022. The best is yet to be. Blessings on the journey, dear friends. Stay safe.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2021, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.